Jeff with Game Refraction. I'm here at the 2017 Calgary Expo with Tom Lyle. Thank you so much for the interview.
So thanks for asking for it. I feel honored.
You started your comic book career with DC Comics with Starman.
Actually, I worked for some independent publishers for about a year and a half before that, but that was my first major publisher, was DC and Starman.
And before that, you started in like advertising design?
I did advertising for 11 years, and I didn't become a practicing comic artist till I was 32.
What caused you to kind of like change that career in advertising, or was that the end game?
I always wanted to be a comic artist, but I was too chicken to do it, and to be told that I sucked. And so I sent in a portfolio like every 2 or 3 years and got rejected and crawled back in my hole and hid. And then somehow in 1984, I sent a portfolio to Marvel, and Denny O'Neil responded with a, "Hey, you don't suck too bad. If you're ever in town, come see me." And my wife said, "We're going to New York." And we took a vacation up to New York, got a couple of small jobs like a Marvel Handbook of the Universe pinup and a FF Index cover. That's all I walked away with. But it was enough to where my wife said, "We're moving," and we moved to Baltimore, Maryland, so I could be closer to New York, and I would go in once a month and show my stuff.
Nice.
Which you used to be able to go in the offices and show your stuff. You can't do that now to either company. And it took about a year and a half of showing my stuff before I got work, so I was 32 by the time that happened. So.
Now, you did what I believe was like the first miniseries for Robin.
Yes.
Was that something you sought out, or did DC actually target you for that?
I got Robin almost by dumb luck. And also, I will say exponentially that if DC thought it was going to sell like it did, they would have hired an A talent instead of making an A talent, which they made me by hiring me for that. But I had just wrapped up Starman and was about to start doing the comic book for the Impact line that DC was doing, Impact Comics. And I had a gap in my schedule, and so I called up the Batman office and I said, "Do you guys have a spare issue of Batman I could draw for you?" And the assistant editor is the guy who always talked to me, because Denny O'Neil was very private and he only dealt with big issues. And the assistant editor said, "Nah, but we got this miniseries, you know, if you'd be interested in doing that." And I said, "Well, how many issues?" And he said 5, and I went, "More than I thought, but who is it?" And he said, "Well, it's a Batman thing, but I can't tell you until you tell me you'll do it." And so I said, "Well, is it something stupid like Alfred?" And he went, "Oh God, no, it's not that bad." And then I said, "Well, like Commissioner Gordon?" "Oh no, it's better than that." And I said, "Well, it's got to be Robin then." So sure, I'll take it. And he said, "Yeah, it's Robin." But seriously, I mean, and then while we're talking, he says, "We haven't got a writer yet, so do you know anybody that knows anything about martial arts, you know, to be able to write it?" And I said, "Chuck Dixon." And because I had worked with him at Eclipse Comics on Strike and Skywolf.
Okay.
And so they brought Chuck and I in, and we talked to them, and on the train back, it was cool. Chuck and I were both psyched. And the coolest thing we decided with Robin was he's not a sidekick, he's just Robin.
Yeah.
He's a cool character in and of himself. And that's why I think he did well, and we never treated him like he was a sidekick. But yeah, Robin was, I was not sought out.
Definitely. So you co-created the Batman villain, the Electrocutioner.
Yes.
And
the name existed beforehand, but we created the Frank Galvin version.
That version, yeah. And then the Stephanie Brown, who's used actually quite a bit with like the Snyder and Capullo line.
Yeah.
Did you have a hand in like with other creators looking to use those characters? Because like I can't even say the name. Electrocutioner was used in Batman Arkham Origins video game as well.
I know, and I didn't get royalties because we didn't create the name.
Oh, okay. But
they did use Stephanie in Lego Batman, and that was awesome. They used the spoiler in Lego Batman.
Nice.
So I made royalties.
Did Snyder like communicate with you?
No, but he's been gracious, and because I've talked to him at the New York Con, and James Tynion's doing some stuff with him too, with her rather. And I'm just no. I mean, I've heard somebody describe it this way: you get to play in the sandbox, and when your time in the sandbox sandbox is done, you have to give it to the other people and trust them.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they're dissing me by not contacting me or Chuck, but you have to trust that they're going to play in the sandbox. Like, I'm thrilled they brought Stephanie back, because they killed her off at one time, and I was like so disappointed.
And they do a lot of things, like even with like Killer Frost, there's like 4 different versions, so they'll just create a new one if they need to fit their narrative purpose. I think the work that I'm most familiar with you is like your Maximum Carnage stuff, which is, I still think, one of the most important and most well-known Spider-Man like events.
Thanks.
Was there like an event for Spider-Man or for a character that is like probably your favorite? Not necessarily something that you've done, but one that's stuck with you and maybe influenced what you've done later on?
I think that's going to turn off a lot of people.
I don't know. I mean, like, I was honored to work on Maximum Carnage. There's flaws in it, so I don't totally worship it, but I'm happy with the work I did, and I really think considering it was my first run on Spider-Man, I had a good time with that. I was actually proud to be part of the clone story. I was sad that it fell apart, because it was a cool idea, and it was proposed by Terry Cavanaugh, and then he got Howard Mackey and me and somebody else to help make it happen, and we let too many people put their fingers in the pie, and then Danny Fingeroth got his position changed, and Bob Budiansky became the group editor over his head, and Bob sort of let it get unruly too. So between the two people, it got, it was only supposed to last 6 to 9 months. I can't remember which now. It's been so many years, and it lasted 2 years. And the cool part was, Ben was supposed to be the real Spider-Man, or the real Peter rather.
Yeah.
And it's like, the reason we were doing that is because, and Marvel ended up doing that with the Brand New Day thing when they had him sell his soul to Mephisto, is that being Spider-Man is supposed to be a respite from being Peter Parker, because your life's supposed to partially suck as Peter Parker. But when you're married to Mary Jane Watson and you wake up in the morning and go, hey, and then you're living in a penthouse, your life can't suck. So we were trying to break that up a little bit. And then I wanted to write and draw a Scarlet Spider book and move Mary Jane and Peter off to the side and have them change their names and her quit modeling and all that kind of stuff. But it all sort of fell apart.
Oh, well.
So, but I mean, I'm proud to be part of the beginnings of that. And then unfortunately it became a mess. So I'm but I haven't had an influence on anything else. I was part of the planning of Nightfall over in the Batman office, but I was gone by the time Nightfall happened. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing.
Enjoy the rest of the convention.
Thanks.